Yeah, all good.
And welcome guests and listeners to Women of the Wise Path. I have found a really kindred spirit here on earth. And I love when I find them because it's exciting. They are exciting souls. They're learning and they're spreading light in the world. And I wanted to briefly introduce myself. My name is Roshni Sharma Fleming. I'm the CEO and founder of Stillfire Healing Inc. here in Toronto. And we disrupt traditional medicine pathways with holistic methods on all facets of wellness. And I have today a very honored and educated and bright and exciting guest. I have Mirey Karavetian. Is that I pronounced your name properly? Yes?
Yeah.
Good.
Yes.
I love it. And so I wanted to welcome you here, Mirey. And Mirey is a PhD. She's a registered dietitian. She is the founder of BiohackRD. Yes, and she's also a professor at the University of Toronto.
Nutrition scientist.
Nutrition scientist at the University of Toronto. And so I'm very excited because she has a lot to say. She has an amazing throat chakra voice. So let's get right into it. So Mirey, tell us about what you do, and let's dive right in.
Thank you, Roshni, for having me. Yes, so RD stands for Registered Dietitian, by the way, that's
Yes.
what it is for.
Yes.
And why I called my company Biohack RD is that there's a lot of people that talk about biohacking, and unfortunately, they're not based on evidence. And I wanted to kind of say that you can still biohack your health and you can still have your age become just a number that is irrelevant to your identity, but with evidence. And this is where I want to tell, and like today's session I want to dedicate to that as we age, we can actually we as women have this, pre-exposed idea of how aging is. We've looked into our mothers, our grandmothers, and unfortunately, I don't know about you, but like my grandma at 50, she kind of like said that I've done my whatever I need to do. Let's wait to pass out of and expire. Okay, and my mom after I think she was around her 60s, and she felt like, okay, I've done what I need to do. I think now today's women, we can redefine that vision of how we age. And how you age is actually because aging has its toll on you, but then you can actually reverse that toll by making intentional lifestyle choices. And that's where I'm here today to actually say that we have a choice, that it's not like an imposed that we're victims of the world. We can put ourselves in a victim mode easily, but we can actually choose not to do so. And when you choose not to do so, that's where, like you can glow. I always say that each one of us is either in a butterfly phase or a caterpillar phase. So where are you? You can
Yes.
actually be in your butterfly phase all the time, but
Yes.
making sure that intentional lifestyle changes happen. So I'm actually an expert in lifestyle medicine, and I believe in that. And lifestyle medicine has a few pillars, and they're based on healthy nutrition, exercise, movement, sleep, positive mindset, good social settings, and making sure that it's basically mind, body, and soul. Because we need to understand that they're kind of like the six pillars of a desk or a table, and if you break one of them, the whole thing tilts. So you can't actually, like outrun a bad diet, you can't outrun a bad sleep. So each one of them has to be intentionally put in its place. And it's well, I'm a mom and I'm a working mom, and I understand that life gets on your way, but and it has to do with a lot of self-love. Women, like right before this call, I was having a talk with like this enormous woman who completely spent her half an hour meeting with me underestimating herself. And this is what women do, like they underestimate themselves. They don't love themselves enough. We're busy loving everyone else, but we forget to love ourselves. One of the first things I do when I meet a client, specifically with women, men don't struggle with this so much as women, is I ask them, how much do you love yourself? Very often, I get a client who comes and says, I want to lose 5 kilos in the next 2 weeks, and tell me how I'm going to almost, they don't say it as this, but how I'm going to starve myself. And I would say that I want to make sure that your healthy lifestyle becomes part of you, integrated in your norm, that then later on the health benefits and your weight regulation, whatever it is, become positive side effects of your healthy lifestyle, that you have made it your norm that you can't live without.
Yes, and
See,
that and this is so beautiful because this is where women, I also think, need to build up their reserves in awareness. So you can develop your norm and your body's like, yes, I like it here. And then of course, like yourself, working, I'm a working mom, things are going down, or you're not feeling well, or it gets really busy at business, and we're running our own businesses. Maybe the partner needs something or an extended family member needs something. Whatever taps onto those resources, your awareness goes down because you are also, your
yes,
nervous system's reacting to what's going
yeah,
around.
yeah,
But at the end of the day, you build your awareness and bring your awareness back to yourself, to the
yes,
norm that you have developed.
yes,
And I liked how you said that you put them into place, and sometimes the one will break, but it's a choice for you. Okay, are you listening, everyone, listeners? It's a choice for you to click it back into place. No one else is going to tell you.
yeah,
Okay, not
yeah,
Mirey, not me.
yeah.
You make that embodied choice for women's health.
Yes,
Right.
nobody's here to come and save you. You have to save yourself, you know?
Yeah.
And you know, when they say in an airplane, before you put anyone else the mask, put the mask on yourself. So this is where I also tell women, first take care of yourself, what for whatever reason. And the first thing women come and say, I don't have time, I'm busy with family, I'm busy with all this. And my answer is always this. Be that change maker for your family, be that role model that people will become, you'll become this contagious person that is making everybody become healthier. Because if you have kids, if you have nieces, if you have loved ones, if you have your partner, the thing that will actually make them healthier is you becoming healthier. When they see you making healthy choices, when they see you prioritizing your health, like for example, my family, my only way to actually make them go to the gym is by me going to the gym.
To the gym.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
And when they see me, I have a walking pad. I don't know if you can notice, but I'm standing. I don't like to sit so much. I always
Okay.
say sitting is the next smoking. We are in
Yes.
an epidemic of like
Interesting.
sitting all the time, and sitting is the main comorbidity that we're building on top of each other. I have a walking pad under my desk that I spend like 3 hours of my day just walking, and my kids are seeing me, my husband is seeing me, my family members are seeing me, that I'm trying to be as mobile as I can. I cannot allow my work commitment strip my health away. Now, I do
Correct.
have to be glued to the screen, unfortunately, for most of the time. So I have to find realistic, practical ways to integrate movement to my life. It doesn't have to
Yes.
be magic science. It doesn't have to be like, this is the problem that most people think, that to be healthy, it's like zero to hero. And nothing is like that. It is zero
No.
to one tiny step in front. And then one tiny, tiny step in front. And then after time, you'll be that hero, but you need patience, you
You
know?
need patience. Yeah, very well said. And I like that it is overwhelming. And I remember speaking with someone who, because I also help with essential oils, and how not only in science, but then in holistic healing can help you rebalance your health and complement the steps that you're taking. And she had about 18 essential oils that she was using. And I said, oh, so what are you using them for? I don't know. I just like the way they smell. But, at the end, when you're taking those steps, I think that awareness that's built around the results of what you're using is really, really important.
Yeah,
How do you
yeah,
feel?
yeah, yeah,
What's going on? Is there anything that's healed from it? Is there any other effects that you're positive or negative that you're getting from that? And I think we move away from that because it becomes overwhelming. So your metaphor of just taking a tiny step is welcome, because health and wellness is not just like the four food groups, pardon me. It is a whole gamut of approaches that make you feel the best way on any given day. So,
I will ask you a simple question, Roshni. When you started your business, okay, on the first day that you took the decision to open your business and start, did you succeed at all levels on the first day, or you were busy failing at most levels on the first day?
I succeeded at most levels and then I burnt out in 2 weeks.
Okay. See, that's
Right?
it. Fantastic. I love that answer. So that is exactly what most women do. They
Yeah.
have high motivation. They, so, check all the points for a short period of time, burn out, and then they're like, okay, this is not sustainable. So then they go back to point zero. So my idea is like I know when I first became a parent, like I this is something that a lot of people relate, or when I first started my first job, like ever in my life, the first 3 months, I think I was busy failing in every single aspect, because success is you start something new and you put yourself out there out of a discomfortable situation outside of your comfort zone. You start a new thing, you fail in maybe 90%, then you succeed 10%. But then you realize that those you learn from them. And the next day you fail less and you fail less and you fail less. And then one day you surprise yourself that you're not anymore failing. And that's where success happens. That's why there are these, like, how do you master a skill? By spending 1,000 hours on it, so forth, so the same thing comes with health, and people are patient with everything else except their health. Everybody, but like I always ask my clients, how long did it take you to reach to this weight that you're not happy with? And they're like, yeah, it took me like I think the past 10 years. I'm like, okay, so why do you want the 21-day challenge to change it? 21-day challenge is only going to create an unrealistic expectation from yourself that you will crash and burn, and then you will say, okay, that's not for me, and then you will go to different methods, medication and so forth. But then lifestyle changes here, and I always say something, and I feel like this is going to become my slogan, that mythical creature of a fountain of youth is not anywhere to unknown. It is in your muscles. Move them, they will protect you. Muscle is this underrated organ. And I'm going
I
to ask
agree.
this, Roshni, I'm going to let's do this. And hopefully our listeners would actually do it. I do something called exercise snack. I'm going to ask you to stand up with me if you don't mind.
Okay.
And I'm going to
Okay.
ask the listeners also to stand up. And what I do is, so I work in a lab at the University of Toronto. And what we do is we've researched something called exercise snack, which is every 1 hour to 2 minutes of exercise. So let's try to do only 10 squats. And I would hope that listeners would actually do this. So do like this and then go down. One, and then you're going to see it's not a biggie. Two, see, you're almost done. Three, there you go. Four, any one of us can do this, right?
Yep.
Five, fantastic. Halfway through. Six, and you know what you're doing? Seven, the biggest muscles in your body, you're actually moving them. Eight, and then two more, that's it. Nine, and then the last one, 10. I'm going to clap for you and me and for all the audience that actually listened to us and hopefully did this. So, exercise snacks, we've proven through our science that if you do 2 to 3 minutes of exercise, something like this, that increases your heart rate, what it does is it actually regulates mood, appetite, and sugar in the blood better than 1 hour at the end of the day. Because what happens
Yes.
is it's like kind of a correction. Every hour when your body's getting weak, it corrects. Every hour when it corrects, So it's better to have like little corrections than one huge correction at the end of the day. You see?
Yes.
And it's a practical tool, right? I think
Yes, it
anyone can
is.
do this, right?
Yes. I love that because it's manageable, it's sustainable. It's sometimes like for myself, I don't like going to the gym.
Yeah,
I've never been a
yeah,
gym person. I'm either out hugging trees, walking in the forest,
that's
doing
amazing.
yoga, riding
Yeah,
my bike, playing
yeah,
badminton.
yeah.
I'm active in different ways, but everyone puts a lot of pressure. And I think that's thanks to social media that you have to do it this way, and that's going to work for you. You will not know if it works for you if you don't try it. So if you try it and if it doesn't work for you, don't feel bad. You go and try something else that makes you feel more like yourself, right? Makes
Any
you feel
movement.
Any movement,
Any movement.
any
Doesn't matter
movement.
which movement. Any movement is
Correct.
better than no movement. And
Correct.
whoever's busy judging you, let them be busy judging themselves. Like, you know,
Sure.
and I always say this. Sometimes people say, well, you know what, there's so many burdens in my head and there's so many negative happening. And
Sure.
I tell people, train your mind to unsee things.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Yes.
because if I'm busy right now, I have this cup, right? I can actually look at this as something that is terribly annoying, or I can
Yes.
look at it as a cup. That's it.
Yes.
And
Yes.
contain it within its own abilities and don't allow it to become this big thing that is annoying me, right? So,
Yes.
this is it that we can train our mind to actually start unseeing trivial things and things that actually drain our energy for useless things, and then actually use that energy for something that makes us stronger and better. And the minute we do that, we become this ball of energy that actually doesn't just help itself, but exudes positive energy to people around. And then you're in your butterfly stage and you don't really care who's judging, who's not judging, because you're busy judging your good life, you know, like,
Yes.
and enjoying it. See,
I love
so
I love
yeah,
that. I
yeah,
really
yeah,
I appreciate that very much because I think when women we tend to carry more than the average soul. So when we carry so much and we lens things based on what we've been carrying, it becomes like a point of distortion. And so when you return back to, okay, let's just shift our perspective. Let's shift the judgment or self-criticism. And I think what happens is with self-criticism, that just kind of snowballs, right? Negative
yeah,
energy snowballs
yeah.
negative energy, but so does positive energy. Once
Yes,
your body starts checking off and saying, yeah, this feels good. Yeah, this feels good. That's when you start even losing weight because you're not holding everything and you're not lensing everything from a lower vibrational state.
and I'm going to echo on that with the science. So, autoimmune diseases, women have 75% higher risk than men when it comes
Yes,
to autoimmune
they
diseases,
do.
just because
Yep.
we are freaking overthinkers. Why are we
Yeah.
doing this to ourselves? It is a self brought thing, you know, like we are
Yes.
actually self implicating all this to us. So this is what I say. I'm going to give a small example of a friend of mine yesterday. So she went to a vacation, came back. Instead of celebrating the fantastic time that she had with her family and friends, she comes back to Toronto and something very trivial happens with one of the moms in the schools. And she was angry with that. And she started telling me about this. And my answer was, how was your vacation? You know, reminding her that you just came from a celebration of your family, of like, why do you allow this little thing to overcome that 1 week of fantastic time that you had? So this is it. It's like untraining your mind to unsee, because a lot of things can happen around you. Like when you're driving, right? Do you care about every single car passing by? Do you look at them in detail? No, because you know that you have to focus on your track, on where you're going, on your path. But if you look into all the other cars, you will crash and burn. And the same thing we should be doing in our life. Not busy looking at other people's and what they're doing. They can be doing whatever they want. But if you're busy with your own path, falling in love with yourself and your on your path and your journey, then you don't have time even to look at who's looking, who's judging, who's thinking, who's not thinking. Be busy with
Yes.
yourself, you
I
know?
love that. Such a positive
Yeah.
and welcome message because you are this is does not mean you become indifferent to the
No.
needs of the people around you. And you would definitely agree when you are pouring into yourself and filling your cup on a regular basis, not just when you're burnt out, you become a siren for when things are going well. And when things don't go well, it doesn't pull you right down, back down to the bottom ground zero. And even if it does, you know that that's not truly who you are.
Yes.
It might
Yes.
just be a blip in the road, a fork in the road. It can be
Yes.
anything like that. but then you are detached from it because you know that you can choose a state of wellness that only works for you so that you can serve others in the best way you can.
Yes, because ups and downs in life are normal. You
They
can't
are
imagine that it's going to be only up. That's an unrealistic expectation. Something
correct.
I'll tell you again, I just remembered this, and I want to share it with everyone around us. I think we're in the day and age that we want to be like strong and independent and show this, exude this energy that we're only unbeatable. And I had this conversation with a friend of mine. I'm lucky to have a lot of psychologist friends, and I allow them to actually criticize and tell me what I can improve.
I love that.
And yeah.
Isn't that so fun?
Yes. And one of them came and said, "Do you show your family your weak moments?" And I was like, "Of course not, because if I'm weak, they're weak." He was like, "No, give them a realistic version of an adult to your partner for them to see that you also have your weak moments, to your children to see that weakness is part of normal life. That's it's not an unbeatable or a bad version of you or an undesired
Mm.
version of you. That's the normal version of you and how you recover from that, because that's the learning lesson that you can show to your family, to your loved ones." And it took me like I believe that I think for a week I was just trying to absorb this, like, what do you mean, what do you mean? And then I started using this, and it helped so much. The people around me now, whether it's my colleagues, my partner, my kids, my family, they're all more comfortable with me. I'm more comfortable with myself and with people around because I don't need to hide my weaknesses, because I don't allow weaknesses to define who I am. I understand that weaknesses and success, both of them, are me and they're normal. And this
Mhm.
is something that, because if I'm so afraid of my weaknesses, then while I'm having that weak moment, I'll be busy thinking who's judging me. But if I know that this is part of normal, then who cares who's judging me? I'm not busy judging them. So whatever. So this is it, like learning to, and you said something, I want to resonate on that. This, I'm not advocating selfishness. I'm just advocating self-love. They're two different things. You
Yes,
can have
yeah,
self-love and love people around you. It doesn't mean that, I'm not saying tunnel vision, just look at yourself,
sure.
but
Yes.
you matter too.
Yes, you matter too. And selfishness hurts others,
Yeah.
but self-love expands to others. The ripple effect of that, not only in your household, and even, man, even my dog benefits from that. Like she's like, oh, mom's home. I'm just going to put my head in her lap and I'm going to snuggle her and I'm going to go for a walk with her and we're going to sing in the sunshine. Everybody benefits, the plants, the whatever, every that vibrate. And I always, being an energy healer, is holding space for everything that has energy. When your energy is up, everything feels up. And when your
Because you
energy,
be
yeah, and when your energy, like my son was shooting me with a Nerf gun yesterday, and I was tired. I'm like, I just kind of slumped on the floor. We play Nerf guns, okay? And
yeah, yeah,
so,
yeah. That's a
so,
cool.
but and I was like, okay, don't shoot me on my back. I just felt kind of a little out of sorts last night. I was perhaps a bit tired or
Yeah,
processing
happens.
something. And he said, oh, okay, mom, can we do this instead? So I was tickling him and all that, right?
Yeah,
And then it's back to Nerf gunning today.
yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I like that you gave permission in your example to say, it's okay to not have the energy 100 million% all the time. It's okay when you don't show up as normally like you do. And that's where sometimes the balance, you protect yourself from burnout and you build stability and consistency and perseverance in your journey.
And not just for you, for the people around you, because they will
Sure.
understand that respecting boundaries is not an impolite thing to do. It's a normal thing to do. I had to teach myself to learn where are my boundaries and inform people where are my boundaries. But I struggled to learn that.
Yes.
Because very often as women, we think that we should just, become these incubators for every human being in the world except ourselves.
Ooh,
And like you have to be who you are. You have to be this solid, like something, not like liquid that is, dissolving everyone else, because you wouldn't exist. And in the beginning, I had to kind of feel guilty for prioritizing myself, for learning how to love myself, because I'm a woman, I need to be protecting everyone else. How am I? And I had to like work a lot on my own mindset to start apologizing for my self-love. And I
Ooh,
feel like this is something that we need to, maybe we can make it better for younger generation of women. Maybe we can become those role models, that it's not, again, and it's not selfishness, it's self-love, so that younger generation of women do not have to pass through that struggles that we passed through, to they could actually live unapologetically who they are and celebrate who
yes.
they are.
Yes, and how authentic is that? Whether you're raising a boy or a girl, you are setting a very powerful example of authenticity, which is sorely needed in every facet of life these days. To to hack a system that's built on illusion and deception and there's all sorts of stuff it's built on. But when
Yeah,
you are
yeah,
an authentic human being, you can see through those veils, and your role modeling in your lifetime, whether it's through family or friends or professors or teachers
yeah,
or
yeah,
dietitians or
yeah,
whoever,
yeah.
the more authentic they are, the more relaxed and developed and embodied you will be as well.
Yes. Now, I'm going to go back to something that I love. Every
Sure.
human being who knows me already knows this. Stretch bands. I love
Yes,
stretch bands.
they're
I
great.
have them on everywhere, on my desks, everywhere, and they are fantastic. Look at this. So I'm already doing a lot of weight resistance training. So I'm
Yes.
actually having my muscles,
Yes.
become stronger, and you can do
Yes.
so many things. And look how much space it occupies. This is the space that it
Honestly.
occupies.
Yep.
Okay, and they cost almost nothing, and you can have different grades for your upper body, lower body. So please invest in your health. With like, there is no more excuse. The weather outside is cold. I don't have space in my house. I don't have time. I don't. Let's remove these don'ts, and let's see how can we start becoming healthier, because you deserve more. You deserve to invest in yourself,
Yes.
and yeah,
I agree. And the no cost or low cost is uh counterbalances any excuse you're going to have. And yes, we both live in Toronto, and the winter is 400 years long. And so, however you do your activity, it
yeah,
is entirely a choice. Whether it's outside, you might be a
yeah,
skier. If you're not a
yeah,
skier, okay, maybe you're inside using bands. And the low cost thing, I think, is underrated. I think the idea of having a low cost wellness practice, not only sustainable,
yeah,
financially sustainable,
yes.
and you can choose it for yourself at any given time throughout the day that suits yourself. And even waiting in traffic, right?
Yeah,
If you have to drive, God forbid, in,
yeah.
in Toronto, you're you're helping, you're using your bands
Or
wherever you.
listen to podcasts so that your mind stays growing and positive,
I
or
love
else.
that.
So when I was much younger, I read this book called The Power of Positive Thinking. And I think I later on I had to read it maybe 7 more times. I felt like it was like a
Sure.
textbook. Every word resonated differently at different
Sure.
stage of my life. And something that I always want to share this with women was that a negative thought is a thought that it repeats itself in a loop.
Yes.
A
Yes.
positive thought, unfortunately, is the one that comes and goes. So it's good
Yes.
to actually detect a negative thought, like, because when you leave your brain, either it flows into creativity or it goes into negative loops. So it's good
Yes.
to detect it. So, for example, from a very young age, I started training my brain to detect when something is in a loop. I would say, okay, wait. Why is this in a loop? Okay, so let me see. Oh, it's a negative one. Let me stop it. And again, a really cool psychologist friend of mine taught me something, that go create 3 very good, scalable, with intensity, positive memories. So when you're having these negative thoughts, try to bring in one of those memories. Okay, if it breaks the cycle, fantastic. Doesn't, higher intensity. Doesn't, higher intensity. And then if it really doesn't work, stand up and do something physical. I would wash my face with cold water. I would actually jump, because
Absolutely.
all of these would break that negative cycle of thought that has no value to you, that actually increases your cortisol, your anxiety hormones. And what it does is it actually makes your health worse. You
Yes.
know? Yeah.
You heard it here, everyone. Like the water on the face, that's a self-care practice. Small, singing, listening to podcasts. These are not high level self-care tips. They're practical, they're sustainable, and they're right up my alley because I do all of that. And
Yeah.
even then, I have to honestly say that sometimes I have not so great days for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Perhaps it's just
Yeah. Normal.
processing things. It could be hormones,
Yeah.
it could be, and you process it, but it does pass.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
does pass. You reverberate back to what your norm is, as we talked about that. And returning back to a norm might be at a different level, but if
Yeah.
you've built a system of self-care around you, you are able to piece together the pieces you need at that moment in time, which is
Yeah.
very powerful for women as
Yeah.
well.
I'm going to say one more thing about positive mindset and focus a little bit more on nutrition, but about positive mindset. Like in all my friends from outside of Toronto, they're like, "Are you still shoveling snow?" And I'll tell you what I do with shoveling snow. When it is, I look at it as an opportunity for exercise. I put my music on, whether I'm, like
Sure.
collecting the leaves in the spring or shoveling the snow. I would look at it as an outdoor exercise session. And
Yes.
sometimes I would even get my family with the leaves specifically, or in the winter, do a little bit of snow fight and shovel the snow. So it's a mindset. So either I can choose to say, "Oh my God, the winter in Toronto," okay, which is one option, but that is all the time bringing a lot of negative thoughts and making my body become full of inflammation. And we'll talk a little bit about inflammation. Or I can actually say, "This is so cool. I'm actually exercising, breathing such a fresh air." And then when you keep on saying, this is the cool thing, that your words can actually define how your brain works, and then your brain actually defines how your words come out later on in your mouth. So it's like this vicious circle.
Absolutely.
So you don't have to
Absolutely.
wait for your brain to magically shift itself. You can start saying what you want to become. And then after a time, your brain will start seeing that thing as is,
Yes.
you know?
Absolutely.
And then you
Absolutely.
become that person. So, they say neuroplasticity. You are, oh, this is where growth mindset comes in, right? You can become whoever you wish, whatever you wish, if you put your mind. So you're not a victim of a construct of
No,
what your
you're
family
not.
defined you, what your society defined you. You are a construct of your own beliefs. And
Correct.
those can change.
Those can change. And
Yeah,
giving yourself permission to change them. That's the big thing. Give yourself permission to rest. Give yourself permission to exercise. No one's going to say, "Hey,
yeah,
mom, go to the spa today. You really deserve it."
yeah,
I'm sure some people do, but for the most part, it becomes just a self-care choice that you decide that you need. And for me, I know uh, physically, I feel it in my nervous system. Like when I
yeah,
know, like
yeah,
I'm sitting like this in front of my computer and I can't, and it just keeps going up and down, like, and I said, okay, I might need a massage. I
yeah,
might need
yeah.
just a walk in the
Whatever you
sunshine.
need.
Yes.
Yeah,
The idea of nutrition is fascinating, especially for women, with the pressure at times for younger women to conform to social media ideals. But my interest is in our generation of women who are a little bit older. We've perhaps have chosen motherhood as a path, and those
yeah,
souls have come into our ecosystem, and our bodies don't function the way they need to function. So nutrition to me becomes, again, a self-care choice,
yeah,
not a soothing type of tool to soothe really what's going on. But then nutrition to me also becomes medicine, which I more and more subscribe to as
yeah,
I get a bit older.
yeah,
So
yeah.
can you expand a bit on that?
Yes, for sure. Specifically after the age of 35, every
Sure.
healthy behavior that we're doing has to be intentional because up till then you can kind of flunk it and then go by with whatever choices you made. But after that age, you have to start intentionally making every choice. For
Yes.
example, there's something called inflammaging in the new word. It's inflammation and aging. So because of aging, you would have
Yes.
inflammation. So what happens is your body's cells become kind of weaker and less efficient. And this is
Sure.
where healthy lifestyle choices come in to compensate for those weaknesses. And this is why I was saying every hour a small exercise, because once, let's say you're eating something, okay, and your cells have to kind of suck up all the sugar from your blood into inside of the cells. But if they're not efficient, okay, then that sugar would be staying for a longer period of time in your blood. That will tell your brain, I'm still hungry, because your muscles would say, hey, you didn't eat. I didn't have sugar. So you, after food, you would still feel like you want to snack, you want to eat a little bit extra. But in reality, if you go after dinner or after your lunch for a very light 20-minute walk, or
Sure.
you end up exercising 2 minutes every hour, what you're doing is you are increasing the efficiency of your cells so that they can absorb all the sugar that you had eaten from your food into the cells and feel energized and signal to your brain and say, we're good. Don't eat anymore. So this is something the
Absolutely.
other day I was giving a lecture to a bunch of women. They're like, how do you deal with cravings? And I was like, listen, craving, or you've eaten your meal, you've finished, this is your quantity, but your eye is still on something that there's one more item, but that's not for you because that's an extra one. Okay, so go take yourself for a tiny walk. Okay, and I'm not saying a marathon walk, just a regular walk, the one that you can actually even hold a conversation with somebody. Okay,
Sure.
that's why I said, like, I love walking paths, because they don't need to go out, or there are some videos that you can actually do like this, a movement, or find some kind of an activity that you can do at home. And what happens is, but not a very fast one after a meal, a regular movement, your cells become efficient, they inform your brain we're good. And then 20 minutes later, you come back, you look at that snack that your eye was on it, and you don't feel like it's calling you anymore.
Correct.
You see,
Yes.
so it's like
Absolutely.
psychology, physiology, and understanding. And I like people to understand, because then you would understand how to manipulate your physiology, so that you're not a victim
Absolutely.
of unknown feelings. You understand what's happening with you. After a
Yes.
heavy meal, if you feel like you're yawning and you're sleepy, that means that you've eaten too many carbohydrates. So for the
Correct.
next meal, at that moment, instead of going to sleep, definitely go for a walk, do your squats. I know it's counterintuitive, but if you do your squats, that foggy brain will go away, because that sugar that went all over the place actually is going where it should be, inside the cells. And that
Sure.
way you feel better. But let that be a learning experience for you, that amount of carbohydrate that you ate is not your quantity, is not what your
Sure.
body can tolerate. So next time, plan better, eat a little bit less, because I think as we age, I'm calling a new word, that we're carbohydrate intolerant. This is what I'm going to call most women, and it's cool to actually think of it this way, because you can also look at it. I'm not saying low carbohydrate, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying do not overdo with the carbohydrate, because it's inefficiencies. Our
Correct.
cells have inefficiencies, and they cannot tolerate all the amounts that we're eating. Something that I absolutely love. I would hope that everybody checks their vitamin D and takes a vitamin supplement if it's low. It's underrated. It improves your immunity. It improves your metabolism. It improves sugar
Absolutely.
management. Don't
Absolutely.
underestimate. And the problem with Canada is that OHIP doesn't cover vitamin D. And so people have to pay out of pocket, unless they have private insurance. So very often people don't measure it. If you don't measure it, you cannot improve it. So every, I don't know, at most 6 months, do check, at most, I would say every 3 months, but at most 6 months, especially in the winter, check your vitamin D and take a corrective dose for it. Then something else that I love is omega 3. Omega 3
Yes.
is a fish oil supplement. On the day that you're eating fish, don't take your supplement, but on the day that
Sure.
you're not taking fish, take the supplements, because omega-3 is an anti-inflammatory oil. Most of the stuff that we do are pro-inflammatory. This
Yes.
one is anti-inflammatory. So the minimum dose for a regular person who has no health issues should be 500 milligrams of the active forms. Remember this, EPA and DHA. The combination of
Yes.
these two has to become 500 milligrams. Don't look at the front of the label, what's written. Go back in the nutritional composition and look into these words, EPA, DHA, and their total in a pill, let it be 500 milligrams at least. If you have heart issues or diabetes or metabolic syndrome, then go to 1 gram or 1000 milligrams. Okay. And then there are some doses, but that is a good number. Also, something else is probiotics. Either you take probiotics or you eat fermented food. It's a choice you make.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, fermented
Mhm.
food is fantastic for your gut bacteria, because the good bacteria in your intestine need to be diverse and need to be many. Okay, and to do that, you need to eat fermented food. Fermented fruit, I would say a trick about fermented food. If you go and get pickled fruit from a supermarket, make sure that it is not made with vinegar, that it is actually fermented on its own. Because if you
Correct.
see that there is vinegar, then it hasn't fermented on its own, it hasn't created bacteria. Okay, so it has to be some salt in it and it has fermented on its own. That's the good for you. I myself make my own sauerkraut at home because I want to control the amount of salt that I'm putting in my sauerkraut and my pickle. But then I have that. And very often people think kids don't eat sauerkraut, because I model in front of them. Because when I'm eating, I have, oh my God, this is so delicious. They start looking at this, okay, let's see, I'm jealous of whatever she's eating. I'm going to eat that. And then
Sure.
eventually we have sauerkraut, kefir, I don't want to use the brand
Oh,
name, but there are these cultured milks. There are these small bottles of cultured milk.
I
I
know which
have those
one.
in, yes, in the lunch boxes of my kids and my lunch boxes of all my family. Like we have at
Yes.
least one of those on a daily basis. Now, if you cannot have any of these fermented foods, then go to probiotics. I'm
Sure.
always with food, but if your food cannot make it, then take probiotics. Something about antibiotics. When you take antibiotics, yeah, let's say you took it at 1 p.m., 2 hours later at 3 p.m., take a probiotic pill. That's where
Absolutely.
it's not enough to only go for a food. You actually need to take a probiotic pill, because what happens is antibiotics kill the bad bacteria, but they also kill the good bacteria that you need them. And one course of antibiotic needs 3 months to recover what you had before that antibiotic.
Yes.
So it's
Absolutely.
insane, right? So on the day, you take 1 p.m., 3 p.m., 2 hours later, or something like that, but at least 2 hours later, take your probiotic pill, and know that post that antibiotic dose for at least 3 months, take your probiotic pills, and on top of it, your fermented food. Once you're done, you can go back to your fermented food and not necessarily depend on the pill. So that the pills could come with this acute situations when there's antibiotic or something very stressful happened to your body. Sleep,
Yes.
let us not underestimate sleep. All humans have to sleep somewhere between 10 p.m. and 12 p.m., somewhere between that time. Okay. Because if you sleep at 2 a.m., that is not as good as if you had started your sleep between 10 p.m. and 12 p.m. So somewhere between 10 and 11 p.m. is your sweet spot. Try to make sure that you prioritize it. So I'm now 45 years old. Before I could just fall asleep whenever I wanted. Now I have to make an intentional planning of my sleep so that I
Sure.
actually sleep at 11 p.m. because, or else, if I let myself go, it's 3 a.m. and I'm doing so many things. I'm wide awake and I have no clue why anyone wants to sleep. So that is now my body's saying, but I'm intentionally training it to behave. You see, this is the part that I
Yes.
was saying, that intentionally making a choice. And we all have to sleep somewhere between 6 to 8 hours. Six is a bit question mark, but 7 is the sweet spot. Try to aim for it, at least for most days of the week. And if you need to take melatonin to fall asleep, so there's recently studies came out that said that melatonin intake is correlated with heart disease. And I will tell you this, it's not the melatonin. It is, why do you need a melatonin to fall asleep? You see it? So
Yes.
the root cause.
Absolutely. What is the
Yes.
root cause? Yes. And I think you're hitting on, that's probably another podcast, but the
Yeah.
root causes of the choices that we make, which is also informed some of the work that I do with my clients, is why are you making that choice? The body and the mind, they get adjusted into and tricked into patterns and thinking, then that's the way. And we all go through that. We go through those pattern type of thinkings. However, when you are aware of the pattern, the loop that you are actually sustaining and choosing to sustain in your health and well-being can be redirected and can be hacked into something better. And you've hit on so many beautiful things: the nutrition, the probiotic, gut health, and we know that the gut is the second brain, and looking after your gut is very, very important, and making sure that your digestive system is working and functioning well. So Mirey, tell us how people can reach you for sauerkraut, for advice, to work with you. Maybe you give the sauerkraut. I love sauerkraut, but
Yes.
how can
So
people reach you?
before I say that, I want to tell something empowering for women.
Yes,
Menopause
please.
hot flashes are a symptom that your cardiovascular health is not good enough.
Oh,
And
wow.
that can be prevented from very earlier age, from age 35. Because when I tell to women, try to work out to prevent menopause, they're like, oh, that's far away. I'm like, no, that's not far away. That is today happening, the choices that you're making. So if you're having hot flashes, that means you haven't been exercising enough, that you haven't been sleeping enough, that you haven't been eating well. So
Absolutely.
actually, you can go to menopause and have it as a breeze that can pass through your life, or you can allow it to be a slap in the face. So I would
Yes.
hope that every woman takes a different choice and says that, like at age 50, every man is the sexiest in their life. And women are like this, oh, you're struggling. But it's a choice that you've made.
Yeah,
I want to be the sexiest. Literally, since I was 20, my aim was at 50, I want to be the sexiest in my life. Okay.
sure.
Because that's a
That's a
challenge. That's
great
like
goal.
$1 million, goal, because it's easy to be sexy at 20. Now be sexy at 50. Now that's a challenge.
Yes,
Let's all
ma'am.
take that challenge.
I
So,
love that. I love
yes,
that. That's a
yes,
that's a goal. That is a
yeah.
real goal. I love
True,
it.
and you got to work for it. So people can contact me on my website is on this slide or the screen, biohackrd.ca. We have services. You can take a consultation. We can take a follow-up call, but I do give free discovery call of 20 minutes to anyone who takes an appointment. We
Perfect.
walk through the plan, and then accordingly we can decide which one of the packages or a standalone initial consultation is good enough for you, and we can take it from there. And I have a good announcement to do. In a few months, I'm working very hard on an app called Myla Health. And Myla Health is preserving muscle mass for women who are choosing to be on GLP-1 medications, Ozempic, and so forth. So it will be, Myla is going to be this mythical creature that comes and protects your muscle and makes sure that you age well and you maintain your functional strength as you face different stages of your life. Because I believe that women deserve to be dancing in 60, to be having the best time of
Absolutely.
their life at 70, and to have the choices of aging, how they age in their hands. It's not, we're not
Yes.
victims. We're
No,
not. No.
I
And
agree.
we are these powerhouses. Let's agree that we are, acknowledge who we are, and age accordingly.
Oh, well, you heard it here on Women of the Wise Path. Here is Mirey, and I am Roshni. And Mirey, it was such an honor to have you here. And I love your energy, your beautiful and practical and simple, sustainable ways for women to reclaim health at any age. And in menopause or not, you are and can be that great unicorn at every stage in life. So please acknowledge that us women are changing the way that how we age, and Mirey can help you get there as well. So Mirey, thank you so much, and we appreciate your presence here, and we look forward to seeing more from you in the future.
Thank you, Roshi, for having me, and I hope everybody enjoyed the talk.
Thank you so much. Bye now.
Bye.